Hello. If you can hear me, put a yes in the chat. If you could hear me, put a yes in the chat. I'm happy to see you this morning for day one of the challenge or the live masterclass, whatever you want to call it. We'll be spending 4 days together this week, and I'm super excited. Good morning. Andrea already put, before we begin, where are you tuning in from? We have Dubai, Toronto, Florida. Shout out to Florida. That's where I am. Buenos Aires, Minnesota, South Africa, Michigan, Ohio, Jamaica, all over. That's awesome. So if you can hear me, put yes in the chat. I'm still waiting for that. From Northamptonshire, UK. That sounds like a city in UK. Okay, perfect. So the best way to prepare for today's training is to just get a notepad. We're going to be going through a lot of the details of what is necessary to actually get the results that you want from LinkedIn. And it'll be a little bit more fluid than usual. I usually have a slideshow for this presentation, but I do want it to be more fluid. So I've prepared something else. And I want to give you the best advice possible. So at the end of the live presentation, I'll be doing a Q&A session to really help you hone in on your LinkedIn strategy. Because at the end of the day, I see so many profiles that they're optimized, meaning that they have a headshot, it looks fancy, but they're just not getting the results that they should be getting, or the results that they actually want to get from LinkedIn. And that could be very frustrating because they're doing a lot of work. So they may be even creating content regularly. And it just leads to a sort of impending disaster that also leads to frustration. So we'll get into all of that. But if you're ready, put ready in the chat and we'll start. I'm going to take this thing off here because it's annoying. The movement is cool, but we don't need to be moving today. And if you're watching the YouTube, hit the little heart or the thumbs up button thingy, and let's start. So let me make sure that you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yes? All right, perfect. And I'm going to make it so you can see it even better. So who this presentation is for, you're a business owner. I mean, there are some people that come to me and they're executives and, I'll refer them off. But I really am an expert in helping business owners. You are somewhat established, so you know that what you do works and that what you do gets other people results and that changes their life. So you have a proven offer of some sort and clients, but you may not be getting the clients as predictably as you want. And you may be over relying on referrals. That's a common thing that we come across. And at the end of the day, it's time to start going in on marketing yourself for the benefit of your business long term and to differentiate your business long term. If that is you, put one in the chat. Who this is not for. If this is you, leave now. You are interested in an automated solution. So you don't really want to participate in growing on LinkedIn. You just want to hit a button and everything magically happen for you. Unfortunately, I don't have that magic pill, or fortunately for you, because you'll actually learn the skills required to build a personal brand in the process and to market yourself, which is an invaluable gift. And, if you're looking for that, this is not the place. If you're not willing to create short form video content at all to market yourself, this is not the place. And if you're not willing to go live on video at some point or another, this is not the place. So I say this just to save your time and my time. If that's you, I appreciate you being here, but it probably won't work out. It's not you, it's me. Oh my gosh. Okay. Um, so who am I? If you're just coming across me, if you've never met me, if you've never seen my content, if you have, just bear with it for a second. But I have almost 1 million followers on LinkedIn. I've grown before some people's eyes over the last 4 years, have put in quite a bit of work on the back end to do so, have over 425,000 plus LinkedIn newsletter subscribers. And I've also helped other people do the same over the last 4 years. So one of my case studies, Christopher Hummel, helped him grow from 5,000 to 100,000 followers in 9 months. He has almost 1 million followers today. Maria Malik helped her grow from 2,000 followers to 100,000 in 5.5 months. She has over 200,000 followers today. Jonathan Green helped him double his income within 90 days in his AI business. And most recently, Philip Palucha helped him grow $24,000 monthly recurring revenue in just 1 month of being his coach. So the point is, and we have so many more case studies on the website on top of these, but I say this to say that basically I'm still walking the walk, not just talking the talk. Okay. So now that that's that, why this training is different. When I see a lot of other people doing like LinkedIn trainings, they'll always start with what? What does it start with? If you've been to a master class, what's step one of growing on LinkedIn? Let's see who's paying attention. Put it in the comments or in the chat. What's step one? Managing your profile. Keep going. To have a LinkedIn profile. Yeah, so 99% of trainings are, hey, the first thing you got to do is optimize your profile. Right there, Mary Lou got it. Optimizing your profile, which is great if you know who you are optimizing your profile for and what it is that you are trying to achieve by optimizing your profile for that particular person. So this is where it can get very convoluted because many coaches and consultants have more than one offer. So you may have one-on-one executive coaching or something like that, or a big B2B offer, but you also have a group program and you also have an on-demand course. And now we're all over the place. And all the on-demand course people are booking calls with you and they can't afford your group program or your executive coaching, and things turn into a mess. All right. So who has experienced this before in one way or another? Put one in the chat. So the main thing here is to understand that LinkedIn, just like a hammer, is just a tool. And it is a tool that will increase your chances of success in business if it fulfills its function. Its function should be to get you in front of or to attract more of the right people for the particular offer that you are currently focusing on. Okay. And by that, it will positively affect your business. So does this make sense? Put yes in the chat. I think the comments are kind of delayed before I go back here. Okay, perfect. So let's go through, and we're going to go through kind of a few examples. So most people rush to optimize their profile. They're not even thinking about who they're optimizing their profile for. The result is they get zero traction. So I have literally seen, and they've become my clients, people on LinkedIn that are getting 200,000, 300,000 impressions a month and get zero clients. Some of them get even zero calls. Or the second option, they're getting calls, but they're with the wrong people. So they're with people who don't necessarily particularly need their offer at all, or they don't need their offer today. They're just going to wait. Those are the people that you probably have calls with, and they're like, yeah, I'll get back to you. It's because the need is not strong enough, or they just would love to, but unfortunately, they cannot afford what it is that they offer. And we've probably all at some point been here. The problem is that this leads to people giving up sooner rather than later, or it leads to people saying, well, I tried that before, but it didn't work for me, or social media doesn't work, or, just complete hopelessness and frustration. Because it does take a lot of time and energy to get all of this ramped up, especially if this is the first time that a person is doing it. So they get excited, they optimize the profile, everything looks great, they start creating content, they could even get traction, like I said, build up to 300,000 plus impressions, and there's a lot of input with no output. And that is when just us, our nature as human beings, we start to resent the situation, we start to get frustrated, we start to very dangerously have a decrease in the belief of our own ability and business. And then that leads to negative attitude. That leads to you giving your family attitude because you had 10 calls this week and no one bought, or you didn't have any, right? And now you're giving everybody and their mother attitude that comes around you, showing up to client calls without the same energy. And it has a negative effect all around. So the cost of not attracting, and I want you to write this down, the cost of not attracting the right people to your LinkedIn profile, the cost of not optimizing for the right person on your LinkedIn profile is much more expensive than you think. Does this make sense? Put yes in the comments. You cannot afford it. No one can, unless they have a lot of time to waste. Okay. So get your notebook, and we're going to go into a few specific case studies that have happened with real clients and how we kind of led to the answers that we got through this process. Now, once we have this process and the answers from this process, we will be able to then apply these answers and apply this messaging and apply this focus to your profile. Because like I said, who you're optimizing for matters. And I could just prove this to you with one simple question. If I were writing a book for stay-at-home moms, I would not use the same LinkedIn profile picture as I would if I needed to go and raise money from venture capital firms, right? I'm not going to use the same picture. All right. And why? Because I need to resonate with my audience, from the profile picture to the headline to the about section to whether I use first person or third person. The case studies and client results that I showcase need to even be the right ones for the type of people that we're trying to attract. Okay. Yes. All right. So the first question is, where do you want your business to be in 90 days? And I use 90 days because it's a good enough time frame where things can change, but not so long that it seems like, I'll do that later. And just, based on research, our brains can wrap around a time frame of 90 days. Plus, we're going up against a 90-day window for the year, so it kind of makes perfect sense. So just think of January 1st, 2025. Where do you want your business to be? I'll give you 3 examples. I want to secure 10 customers that pay $5K plus per month, and each of them are paying $5K plus per month for a 6-month contract. Okay. This is actually a real example from a recent client. I want to secure 5 new one-on-one executive coaching clients that pay $15K. I want to secure 3 new B2B contracts valued at whatever per contract. So write yours in the comments. It needs to be specific. It can't just be, I want 3 new clients. Well, what type of clients? Group coaching, one-on-one coaching. How much is the offer? You don't have to put the amount of the offer in the comments if you don't want to share. For what type of time frame are they signing for, if they're signing anything? And we need to kind of focus on that. Let's say that you have a lot of one-on-ones and you're like, okay, I need to do a group. It could be that you're launching your first group at this amount per spot and this many spots. But this is the first kind of step in the right direction. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn, they're going after 25 rabbits. They need to be going after one. I want to secure 10 new one-on-one executive coaching clients that pay $10K for 6 months of support. That is very specific. This is a good one. Good job. And then for this one, Mary Lou, good. How long are they signing for? So 2K a month with a minimum sign up of 6 months or whatever. This is good. Sign up 1,000 people to reporting software at $10 per month. 3 inbound high ticket clients. I like how you focus on inbound per month at euro. How much is that in American? Like 7K? Selling my, or are euros more? Selling my premium one-on-one program. Okay, perfect. All right, so we know what we want, which is, I'm impressed. Like the live, heart the live if you're here. So that means that whatever you just defined, your one goal on LinkedIn in the next 90 days is to fulfill this function. It's not to hang out with friends. It's not to become super popular, because this is where we get in the weeds, right? People will be like, I want to go viral. And I'm like, I thought you wanted 3 clients, right? I want to host the biggest live events on the platform on this general topic that my clients do not care about. And then I have to bring them back in, right? And that's not what we defined in the beginning. So it can be very, the woman in the red dress, all that glitters seems to be gold. So we just have to remember, whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, whether you're connecting with 10 people that day, whether you're writing a piece of content, whether you're creating your next live event, if it does not support this mission, then it's not aligned. It could be fun. It could be something that you want to do, but it could also be a distraction. Does this make sense? Put yes in the chat if this makes sense. Okay. So now that we know what the one goal on LinkedIn is in the next 90 days, okay, we need to understand, who do we need to attract on LinkedIn to fulfill that goal with the least amount of resistance. All right. Now, the beauty of this is that if you start to create content, you optimize your profile accordingly, understanding this, there's not a lot of competition in terms of others creating content that's actually good. But if we don't understand this who, it could be very muddied. So here's an example of what this looks like. And this may require you to change your messaging. It may require you to, it will actually 99% of the time require you to change your messaging on your profile, require you to niche down more a little bit, require you to exclude customers that you're currently serving that do not fit the type of customers that are best fit for this particular offer that you want to, secure people for. And it may require you getting very uncomfortable. So a lot of people won't even make it this far because they're like, oh, no, 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 no. That means I'm excluding this type of person. That means that I can't, what about my on demand $100 offer? I also want that. We are optimizing for one type of person. Okay. So in the first example, where he wanted more customers that paid $5,000 per month for at least 6 months, it required a massive focus in the type of customer that we were creating content for, that we optimized his profile for, that we created newsletters for, and this was the shift. So the focus shifted from coaching and consultants without employees who had still not achieved a 1 million ARR to founders and CEOs who had at least a team of 10 employees and who were doing 5 to 10 million ARR. All right. So he had to exclude this type of customer who was a type of customer for an offer that was for 1K a month. And he had to double down on this type of customer. In all of his messaging, on his profile, on his newsletters, the type of questions that we would answer in his content, the live events, all of it. Does this make sense? Okay. A byproduct of the shift of 1K per month customer to 5K per month customer. All right. Also, it required a better understanding of this customer because the 1K per month customer was focused on getting leads, right? The 5K per month customer didn't really respond to the messaging of getting leads because they were actually getting leads. But what we discovered is that they were getting leads from one major source. So from a HubSpot, from a Salesforce, from one major kind of vendor. They didn't know how to basically get clients without getting these referral leads. So they responded to messaging that was focused on not relying on referrals from one major vendor, like a HubSpot or Salesforce. Does this make sense? So the messaging had to completely shift. Case study 2, the focus shifted from introverts in their first professional job to introverts leading new teams. Now, why is this? If I'm an introvert and I'm just starting my career, I may want to learn how to speak better at work. I may be really ambitious and want that promotion in like a year, but the urgency is not necessarily there. So what we discovered with this client's kind of audit of seeing who exactly do we need to attract to achieve this goal with the least resistance, it was actually newly promoted introverted leaders who were kind of like engineers that were 100% introverts that were now leading a team of 5 for the first time in their life. And they had to learn how to communicate better at work in order to not only keep the position, but to make certain goals that the team needed to make and to become a leader for the first time in their life. Does this make sense? So a lot of this could be the shift of focus on the type of customer could also shift based on the urgency of the need. You want the need to be very high. Put 1 in the chat if this is making sense. Case study 3, focus shifted from founders to M&A lawyers. So this particular person is an IP expert. And after a little bit of testing, we found that the M&A lawyers were referring like this. So they would see her content. They would then bring her in on contracts to consult for the founders that they already had relationships with, or they would want her to be on boards with them and all this stuff. And we just didn't fight the tsunami. If the M&A lawyers were the ones that responded and then she was able to secure, deals through them, then that is what we do. So sometimes you have to do kind of a B2B play if your direct market is not responding the way that you thought that they would. Because the direct market in this case wasn't really interested in that. They were only interested in things that the lawyer was already handling. And so they didn't really have that knowledge. And it was the M&A lawyers with the knowledge. So sometimes if the knowledge is low, you you don't want to spend a million years educating a market that has no idea that they actually need this thing. You could actually go to the B2B market that already understands that your direct customers need this thing. They could bring you in. Does this make sense? All right. And start to put your questions in the chat. Now, based on this, your call to action could also change. So put that in your notebook. Your call to action may need to change. So case study 1, this person was doing originally, before I started coaching them, was doing group calls. A lot of those group calls would generate the 1K per month clients, but not the 5K per month clients. Why? Because the 5K per month clients just wanted a one-on-one call. So the call to action had to shift from the group call to the one-on-one call, and then filtering on the form. There were certain questions that needed to be asked to make sure that the prospect getting onto the call was more like the 5K client, so on and so forth. And so his call to action changed. Case study 2, executives most likely to convert on call. So CTA went from webinar to call. So previously, this client was selling a course or a group cohort. So she would do webinar to group cohort or webinar to course. When she shifted her business to focus on one-on-one executive coaching for the introverted leaders, she had to also shift her call to action, because a lot of them were much more likely to convert on a call than to attend the 2-hour webinar. All right. Case study 3, we actually found DM to call was what the M&A lawyers responded to. Instead of previously, she would just lead them to the website, and they actually would go to the website still, but it would kind of just be post call, or to just verify that she was who she said she was, or to actually use the website as a resource to tell the other team that she was dealing with on their end about her, inform the founders about her, so on and so forth. But a lot of it just went on initial interest in the DM, and then scheduling a call, and then moving forward from there. So you don't even need a landing page to be successful on LinkedIn. I've seen it many times. All right. So why should they choose you over others that do what you do? This is answered in content. So if you had to answer that question just off the bat, why should they choose you over others that do what you do? Really think about it. Why should they choose you over others that do what you do? Put one sentence in the chat. It's a hard question, right? 9 years experience helping STRs improve their internet presence. They know me through my content. So I'm going to paint a picture for you. This has nothing to do with LinkedIn, and yet everything to do with the point. Yesterday, Mr. Beast and Logan Paul, who are both YouTube influencers, Mr. Beast has the #1 YouTube channel in the world. They launched a company called Lunchly, which will compete with Lunchables. If you're in the United States, Lunchables is like this little box of, it's like for kids' lunches. It's terrible. It's processed, and it's not the best food in the world at all. But it has like little crackers and ham and cheese, and they can make their own stuff or a little pizza. And they're launching a competitor product to that. Now, for context, Mr. Beast already has a chocolate bar, and Logan Paul already is involved with a brand, co-founded a brand called Prime, which is a competitor to Gatorade. So within the box, they are putting the Prime hydration, the little drink. They're putting the chocolate bar. They're putting the little pizza or whatever, the ham and cheese. And yesterday, my daughter saw that. She's 7. And she's like, I want one. She hasn't tasted it. It could taste like dirt. It is terrible. I'm not going to buy her one. But I guarantee you, all the cool kids will be buying Lunchly. And you know what she said? She said, I want one because I know Mr. Beast. I know him. And I'm like, you don't know him. You watch his content. But this is what it makes people feel like, right? That trust factor is there. She just needed to hear that it was from Mr. Beast and she wants it. So this is the power of brand. This is the power of earning trust over and over and over and over again. The value for children is that they're being entertained through his content. It's like, wow factor. The value in your content needs to be, more education, solutions, and a little bit of entertainment. You can't bore people to death. Does this make sense? So just because the trust is there, Lunchables was eliminated completely. And they don't care if it's going to taste terrible. They want it because they want to be associated with Mr. Beast, with Prime, because they watch their content. Okay? That's powerful stuff right there. So why should they choose you over others that do what you do? Going back to this, one of the answers is because you will prove to them in advance that you understand who they are and you will provide solutions to them that they could actually apply and experience a positive result from in advance. So if through your free content, you are already benefiting my business, my life, my relationship, my social media, my emails, whatever it is that you teach people, whatever solutions you provide, if your free content is helpful, then I'm even more interested in your paid content. Okay. If you understand me through the content that you share better than other people, then I'm more interested in your content. And when we understand who it is that we serve and we pay attention to our clients, we are able to attract more people like them. And we are able to understand timing and nuance and context a lot better than them. So, for example, newsletters to establish credibility. In the first case study where we went from the 1K customer to the 5K customer, the 1K customer, again, 1K customer, a newsletter could have been how to generate 10 leads on LinkedIn with outbound messaging. They were interested in things like this, or how to get leads on LinkedIn with your podcast. Again, very lead focused. The 5K customer is, it could be, we depend on 99% of business from Salesforce. Here's how to change that, right? You depend on 99% of your B2B business from Salesforce. Here's how to change that. That's true. The vendor did depend on Salesforce or HubSpot for 99% of their business. Okay. It could also be, here's a LinkedIn marketing strategy for your B2B business that your 3-person marketing team can deploy. And then it could be a blueprint for them to deploy. But this person has a marketing team. They don't have to do it themselves. This person does not. And so we're not answering those type of questions. Does this make sense? So when we get tomorrow, we're going to be focused on establishing credibility and answering the right questions and presenting the right solutions for the right person through LinkedIn newsletters and why that's important. Day 3, the same thing with content, with short form video, which is, we've had like 10 clients go viral with short form video over the last 4 weeks. So the potential is still there to go viral. So like, what videos do you create? What polls do you create? What text posts do you share? What images do you share? Even if it's just a question, what do you ask to attract the right person? But without understanding who the right person is and what timing it is that leads to them to want to work with you, or what values they may have in common with you that leads to them to want to work with you, then it's very, very difficult. Does this make sense? So a lot of the times, like, people ask me, why don't I focus on things like how to write a LinkedIn profile? It's because that's not my customer. So someone new to LinkedIn, the customer is like, or even that's on Instagram, like, why you should get on LinkedIn, right? How to create your LinkedIn profile. Most of you on here already know more or less how to do that, but you're more interested on the business side. So if I talked about this all day, you would be bored, you wouldn't be interested. Does that make sense? That's why we focus on like how to start your LinkedIn newsletter to attract inbound clients, right? What to write for your first 4 LinkedIn newsletters, how to convert with LinkedIn Live video. I could do for one-on-one clients. I could do how to convert with LinkedIn Live video for a coaching program. It's more specific to my type of client versus this, which is not my type of client. But I only know this because I actually pay attention to my clients. Does this make sense? So you really have, the number one thing to do today is to understand who. Without that, we can't optimize your profile. Without that, you don't know which skill on the community top voice badge to secure that will actually impress those people or matter to those people. And so let's get to the questions. But the 4 questions that you need to answer today, and that'll be your homework for today, and there will be a recap email. But the first question is, where do you want your business to be? Just put January 1st, 2025, right? What is one goal on LinkedIn in the next 90 days? And it should be this answer. Everything else is a distraction. Who do I need to attract on LinkedIn to fulfill this particular goal with the least resistance, especially based on the business data that you have now? We went through 3 case studies. Where are you going to lead them to? This may require you changing your call to action. For example, if you have evidence that your ideal client downloads an ebook and then gets on a call, then that should be your flow. But if you don't have evidence of that, then maybe you should just get them on a call instead of putting all of these things in the middle. Why should they choose you over others? And we'll kind of focus on that in day 2 and day 3. All right. So let's get to questions. Put your questions in the comments so that I could see them, most recently. Share your best part, your favorite part of today's training. Like the live, heart it. Let's see. Will I be able to watch this on repeat? I want to hear this over and over. It's that good. I don't know, actually. That's on Treya's call. Um, yeah, looking who here has a newsletter? Put one in the chat if you don't. If you do, put two in the chat. A LinkedIn newsletter. I'm actually curious. No. Okay, so if you do have a newsletter, how often are you publishing? If you don't, it's going to be so valuable to you. Okay, so I would like to know how popular, look, you could only see my eyes. I would like to know how popular are LinkedIn newsletters, and is there a demand for getting work this way? I write newsletters, but not on LinkedIn. Um, and is there a demand for getting, like, can you get clients or get a job? Which one? So, like, how popular are LinkedIn newsletters? I don't really know. I know they're increasing in popularity, but all in all, a lot of people on LinkedIn probably don't even know they exist. And if they know they exist, a lot of people don't know how to actually launch theirs or the value of the LinkedIn newsletter, but they are increasing in popularity. My question to you would be like, why does that matter? So give me more context. Awesome. I started a newsletter last week after I came across your profile. So that's amazing. Did you do the second article already or just the launch one? Plan 2 times a week. That's good. I'm working on clients to publish weekly and monthly. What do you advise? So on the LinkedIn newsletter, I would advise weekly if the bandwidth is there for it. Now, what I don't advise is you just going to like ChatGPT and putting in garbage and getting out garbage to publish 1 time a week, because even though that will make you look like you're creating like consistent output, it's not going to get you clients, right? It's not going to make people reading the LinkedIn newsletter to go to the next step. Right? It's not going to inspire them to go to the next step, whether that's to book a call or to attend a LinkedIn Live or whatever it is that your call to action is, or to even join a private newsletter off of LinkedIn. So the content actually has to, inspire some type of thought and be good and speak to where they are in their particular situation. So the answer is like the most frequently that you can publish good content. And if you know what it is that, if you know your clients and you have clients, there are questions that clients are asking you all day, every day, right? And each of those questions could potentially become a newsletter that you answer. And the answer to these questions, you could probably, speak into ChatGPT or Descript or whatever. I don't care if you use these AI tools, but the original thought has to be like your intellectual property, and then you could use them to organize. But don't depend on them for the strategy to begin with, because it could lead to just not good things. Once every 2 weeks. Okay. Um, so if you're doing once every 2 weeks, the only downside there is that it's going to take a long time to even get like 10 data points and to kind of know what's working best. Now, when we're looking at LinkedIn newsletter analytics, there's like how many people view the article inside of the email. We'll get into all this tomorrow. And the impressions on the profile. But remember, there's a metric that matters more, which is, did you get calls Did you add people to your private email list? Did you get people to register for your master class? Whatever it is that your call to action is, if you're doing a lot of output and you're not getting those results, or if you're doing 2 times a month and not getting those results, you may have to up it to 4, just at least for a certain amount of time, so that you crack the code and then you could kind of dial it back down, if that makes sense. But if you are getting results at 2 times a week, then why not double those results and do or 2 times a month and do 4 times a month? What's one unconventional tactic you've used to optimize your profile that most people overlook, but has had a significant impact on your visibility and connections? Unconventional tactic you've used to optimize your LinkedIn profile. I would say the newsletters, to be honest. I have the newsletters on the front of my profile, and I think that, they kind of serve as like a YouTube-esque style library of authority. And I think a lot of people underestimate the power of that. I would like to get work. Okay. 250. Okay. 250 people signing up. That's awesome. Yes, this is very important. I'm building up my numbers like you suggested, but I really need to look at who my clients are now that you have a zooming in there. Yeah. And if you have clients, like the easiest way to do this type of audit is like, who has paid you the most with the least resistance? Like, look at the payment data. And some payment providers like Stripe or PayPal will actually show you like who has paid you the most within a certain amount of time. And then you want to look at, okay, well, what offer did they pay for? And then you want to look at, okay, well, why did they choose me? What's the first result that I helped them achieve? Because, you're probably going to experience some patterns. And then let's say you're down to like 5 people. You want to say, okay, now who implemented whatever it is that they were told to implement, got the best results, was the most enjoyable to work with. And then you really want to understand who that person is, like not just in their business, but also like, their age, their demographics, like their values. And you should know that if you're just having, if you've worked with a client for a certain amount of time. Have you liked the live? Click the thumbs up or the heart. Yeah, so that's a problem. No calls, nice comments, but much else. Okay, so it's not a problem if you only want visibility, right? Because there are some CEOs that come to us, they're like, I don't care if we get clients. I just want to grow my numbers, right? They want the clout. But they're also in a position where they already made tens of millions of dollars, right? Or they're leading a business that's doing $100 million a year, and they're not necessarily, they get their clients elsewhere, right? Or they have a sales team that can deploy a certain strategy on LinkedIn, and their profile doesn't have to be associated with selling. They're in a different position, right? So if visibility is the thing that the metric that you're following, like what it is that you want from your business within the, the strategy we covered today, that's fine. But if it's not, then back to the drawing board with the messaging. Make sure that you're leading them to the right call to action, and I'd up it to 4 month. I recently saw a newsletter for a tech company that put their price structure in the newsletter. What do you think about that? Was it for like a software? What was it for? I mean, tech company, but like what type of tech company? What is a good timing for sending LinkedIn newsletters? Like what time of day? Honestly, like the best answer is to test different times of day and days of the week. and let the analytics tell you, because it really depends where you are and also who you're trying to attract. So I have clients that have been in Dubai, but they want American clients, right? And so the timing of how they post and who they gravitate towards will probably lean towards Eastern time. Then I have other clients that are in Germany or Switzerland or whatever, and most of their high paying clients are in Europe. And so that timing will change. So again, it's just focused on who. Um, and also their kind of circadian rhythms. For example, if let's say my clients were hairdressers, I'm not going to send a newsletter unless it's super early in the morning to motivate them. Saturday morning for hairdressers, hairdressers make a lot of their money Fridays and Saturdays, right? So unless it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, like, hey, go get it, go make that money, it may fall flat. I could probably send it Monday on their day off, right? Monday evening as they plan to ramp up the week. So it also depends on like the rhythm of your audience. Yeah, so this is a great question. I've seen that. So if you don't necessarily have an offer yet or you're not selling anything yet, it's or you just have a kind of inkling of who it is that may be interested in whatever it is that you do. I have seen this, but you have to be sometimes a little bit more patient. So this may take maybe up to 90 days. You post content, and then someone is like, hey, can you help me with this? For example, the most recent case was someone who is a surgical assistant, and they're posting content on LinkedIn for a few months. And the top engaged content every single time has to do with burnout in healthcare, burnout for medical professionals. Um, and so, you know, it's looking like that person needs to position themselves as a burnout, coach or expert or whatever, or have a product related to burnout for, surgical assistants, medical professionals, something like that. I could already see it. I've had it where one woman was studying for her social workers exam. She passed it. She shared over like 30, 60 days the experience. Then a bunch of people were in her DM saying, hey, can you also help me pass? And she's like, oh, look what's happening. And I'm like, this is the offer. She actually built an entire business around that called Get the Pass. And she has a 99% pass rate for her students. And she helps them pass the social workers exam. A lot of them have tried to take it before, they failed, and then they come to her to pass it for the second time or for the first time, taking it the second time. So sometimes it does work out that way, but the person, like if they don't have someone guiding them, they have to. Sometimes what happens is people will respond. They will say, hey, do you do this? Do you sell this? The market will tell them one thing and they'll completely ignore it. And they'll be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. So I've seen that too, where it's like 10 people asked you if you sold this and you completely ignored them because you were building some ebook that nobody wants. And so that happens a lot more than you think. Just a general recommendation for anyone watching, don't fight the market. It's going to be treacherous. It's like fighting a tsunami. It's like jumping into a wave over and over at the beach where you get sand in places you don't want, salt water in places you don't want. You get dragged to the shore with like your trousers or your bikini half off your butts, okay? And then you're jumping back in to fight the ocean, right? It doesn't make any sense. Sometimes what the market wants from you today, it may not necessarily be aligned with your ultimate passion or your ultimate life purpose, but the market decides. And you do with that information what you will. Okay. 90% of my 700 plus subscribers are software developers because I am too. Because I am too, but I'm a founder too of my B2B SaaS product and I want to target local business owners. So how does it make sense? Okay. So this is a really good question. First and foremost, it's not so bad that they're engaging, whatever, like just keep it. Second, if I were you, I would make it my priority to grow on LinkedIn, at least for the first 90 days, because you need to get new people into your network. So I would create content for 90 days for local business owners, whatever type of business that you need to target. I would go to LinkedIn and like connect with the local business owners that have posted within the last 30 days so that when they just happen to connect with you, they see content that just happens to resonate with them. I would potentially launch, once you grow a little bit with these people in your network, I would then launch a second newsletter specific to that location. And it could be called, let's say, I don't know where you are. Let's say you're in Miami. Business owners in Miami or restaurants in Miami. It could be called that because we're going to learn tomorrow that you could rank on Google and they could start to find you outside of LinkedIn too. So first and foremost, create content that gets the right people to your profile. Optimize your profile for the local business owner. Maybe just continue to create, content for the local business owner on your current newsletter. Maybe you'll get referrals that way from your B2B colleagues, your engineer colleagues. It's good that they just know what you do. Sometimes it's okay if people in your network are not necessarily your prospect, but you ideally want their network to be your prospects. In this case, you had that network. So that's what I would do. Does that make sense? You need the right people in your network to start deploying what you need to do. But to do that, you're going to have to create content for them and be intentional about connecting with them. And you could do it within 90 days. Is it a good strategy to publish same newsletter 2 to 3 times a week? Under the same newsletter, different articles. Yeah, I mean, if it's for an app, like a great company that does this is Opus. Opus is for short. We'll learn about that on Friday, right? You could make a long video like this into short videos. They're on LinkedIn. They share their pricing. I think for softwares, it's fine. For coaching, it depends. Yeah, so let me show like in Naeem's case. So, and this will be like one of the final things for today that we go through, but let me show you what I would do. This is for anyone on here. So you could like look at anything on LinkedIn, and I don't know who your prospects are, but let's just say they're like fitness or they talk about fitness, right? So here's fitness. You'll have people, you'll have posts, you'll have blah, 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 schools, courses, da, da, da. So you could go to posts, all right? And you could sort by top match, latest, date posted. So you could do like the past month. You could also do like content type. So you could do live videos, images. If you do videos, those are super active people. Maybe just do like images. And so here we start to see like, oh, here they are. But yeah, if you need to, all filters down here, add a company, add an industry. And then with locations, you could kind of go to Sales Navigator. You could also do polls like, hey, are you a business owner in Miami? Right? And people may respond. For more specific things, like or like let's say menopause. Let's say your clients are undergoing things that they would not put on their profile, like menopause. You could go to events and you see here, you could actually register for events where, people are going to learn about menopause and maybe experiencing menopause. Same things with things like divorce where they wouldn't openly share. So, financial planning for divorce. Now, most of these won't have a lot of people attending because who wants to attend something like this and openly share? But maybe like relationship would be better. Let's see. Or marriage. Let's do marriage. Restore happy marriage. That's at least 5 people. Let's see. This also shows the opportunity. Like if you're in relationships, nobody's hosting anything related to this. Communication. Wow, this is like shocking. If you wanna let's say Instagram. Okay. So here you go. Networking in pajamas, artport Instagram, the best kept lead generation secret for real estate. That's a good one. Let's do real estate. If you want to find real estate professionals, let's go to events. Right here, luxury real estate unveiled. So many people. If you want to find people that are into crypto, that'll probably be crypto. Right here. So like even this one that had 80, like if you register for these, you just see the list. But yeah, I would do Sales Navigator for location specific. What other questions? I got 5 minutes. And then for tomorrow, if you have a LinkedIn newsletter and you've been a little bit consistent, we're going to focus on providing some article structures and formats that will lead to conversion, where they actually want to book a call or join your masterclass or whatever. And if you do not have a LinkedIn newsletter, we'll go through the entire, process of launching your newsletter. And like, I want you to take action. So tomorrow, all of you will be either launching your newsletter or writing a newsletter and publishing one under your current newsletter that will actually lead to some type of result. And that'll be the goal for tomorrow. Any questions? Help, my internet went out. I don't work at Xfinity. Is it possible, or Starlink? Is it possible to get a replay? I don't know what the team is going to do. So I did one of those raise your hand threads last week. Oh, yeah, like one of those where it's like, hey, if you want the ebook, like put yes, so don't want to do that again. Hoping newsletters and lives will do better. Oh, it was Notion. What was the program you were writing in? It's called Notion. It's free, I think, to start, but it's kind of it can get you down a rabbit hole. So proceed with caution. It's supposed to increase productivity. I don't know if that's true. It has a lot of potential. Like you could build landing pages, courses, whatever in Notion. I like the way that the docs work, but I wouldn't recommend it for everyone. Andrea, we will be taking this down replay while you can. All right. And we'll start tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Share this with a friend who you think, yeah, Shanee loves Notion. I do. But I don't want to recommend it to everyone because it can, like, it can confuse people and it could open a rabbit hole that you could get sucked into because there's so much potential with it. Yeah, just being honest. Apple Notes is good enough, or whatever you use now. All right, so we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Share this with one friend who you think could benefit from it. God bless you. Ciao.